Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and we have a short episode. I'm reading a powerful chapter from Christian D. Larson's The Ideal Made Real. This has some amazingly written chapters, and I wanted to read The Art of Getting What Is Wanted. Christian Larson was this fantastic New Thought teacher, and we have read quite a bit of him in the past, including his exploration on concentration. But if you're like all of us, there's something that you want, and there is an art to getting it. The art of getting what is wanted. We frequently hear the statement, "I never received what I wanted until the time came when I did not care for it and did not need it." This statement may in most instances be based upon an unguided imagination, though this is not always the case, because there are thousands of people who actually have this very experience. They never get what they want until the desire for it, as well as the need of it, have disappeared. There may be occasional exceptions, but the rule is that what we persistently desire, we shall sooner or later receive. Too often it is later, the reason being that most desires are purely personal and are not inspired by those real needs that may exist in the great eternal now. Mere personal desires are usually out of harmony with the present process of soul growth, and therefore there is no supply in our immediate mental vicinity for what those desires naturally need. This is the reason why more time is required for the fulfilling of these desires, and frequently the time required is so long that when the desire is fulfilled, we do not need it anymore. When we desire only those things that are best for us now, that is, those things that are necessary to a full and complete life in the present, we shall receive what we desire at the very time when those things are needed. What is best for us now is ready in the mental world to be expressed through us. Every demand has its own supply in the immediate vicinity, and every demand will find or attract its own supply without any delay whatever. But the demand must be natural, not artificial. The average person is full of artificial desires that have been suggested by what other people possess or require. But the question is not what we need now to compete with other people so as to make more extravagant external appearances than other people. The question is, what do we need now to make our present life as full, as complete, and as perfect as it possibly can be made now? Ask yourself this question, and your artificial desires will disappear. In the first place, you will try to ascertain what you are living for and what may be required to promote that purpose of life that may seem true to your deeper thought on the subject. In the second place, you will realize that since it is the present, and the present only, for which you are living, you will concentrate your attention upon the living of life now. This will bring the whole power of desire down upon the present moment and engage all the forces of life to work for the perfection of the present moment. The result will be the elimination of nearly everything that is foreign to your present state of existence. To know what to desire and what to ignore in the present may seem to be a problem, but it is easily solved by depending upon the demands of the soul instead of the demands of the person. The desires of the average person are almost constantly colored or modified by suggestions from the artificial life of the world. They are therefore not normal and are not true to real life. The desires of the soul, however, are always true and are always in harmony with the greatest good and the highest welfare of the entire being of man in his present sphere. It is the soul that lives. Therefore, the soul can feel truly what is necessary to fullness and completeness in present life. Real life never lives for the past or for the future. Real life lives now, and therefore knows the needs of life now. It is the soul that grows and develops. Therefore, the soul can feel what is required to promote present development. For these reasons, it is perfectly safe to follow the desires of the soul, and those desires only. It will mean the best of everything for body, mind, and spirit, and the right things will appear in the right places at the right time. We live not to acquire things, nor to provide for an extravagant personal appearance. We live to become more than we are. We live to live a larger and greater life perpetually. Therefore, every desire must desire only those things that are conducive to growth, advancement, attainment, and superior states of existence. The expression of desire, however, must not confound cause with effect, but it must so place every desire that the power of cause invariably precedes the appearance of effect. To promote advancement in life, we must advance in our own conscious beings before true advancement in the external world can follow. Forced advancement is artificial and is detrimental to the permanent welfare of the soul. Do not push the person forward. Live to give greater expression to the soul, and you will develop all the power that is necessary to push the person forward towards any lofty goal you may have in view. Become more than you are from the within, and external environments, demands, and opportunities will ask you to come forward. Thus, you promote true advancement. There are a number of people who believe that to follow the desires of the soul is to be led into poverty and hardships in general. But those who have this belief know practically nothing about the real nature of the soul. He who follows the desires of the soul will be led away from sickness, trouble, and poverty, and will enter into the possession of the best of everything, physical, mental, and spiritual. This is natural because the ruling desire of the soul is to promote the attainment of greater power, greater ability, a larger life, superior qualities, and greater capacity, so that things may be done that are really worthwhile. The soul lives to unfold the limitless possibilities that are latent in the within. Therefore, to live the life of the soul and follow the desires of the soul is to become greater, more able, more competent, and more worthy every day. By developing greater power in yourself, you overcome sickness and trouble, and by constantly increasing your ability, your talent, and your genius, you pass from poverty to abundance, no matter where you may live or what your work may be. The man who lives to perfect his entire being will naturally desire only those things that are conducive to the growth and the development that he is trying to promote, and such desires will be supplied without delay, because they are natural and they are in harmony with real life. What life may require now, that life can receive now, this is the law. But every artificial desire that we may hold in mind interferes with the workings of this law, and since the average person is full of artificial desires, he usually fails to receive what is needed to promote the welfare of real life. Every desire that is held in mind uses up energy. Therefore, if the desire is artificial, all the energy is thrown away, or it may be employed in creating something that we have no use for when it does come. It has been very wisely stated that a strong mind should weigh matters with the greatest of care before uttering a single prayer, because most of the prayers of such a mind are answered, and should he pray for something that he cares nothing for, when it does come, he will have a burden instead of a blessing. The majority are entirely too reckless about their desires. They desire things because they want them at the time, but do not stop to think whether the things desired will prove satisfactory or not when they are received. And since we usually get sooner or later what we persistently desire, the art of knowing what to desire is an art, the development of which becomes extremely important. It is not an act of wisdom to pray for future blessings or to entertain desires that will not be fulfilled until some future time. When the future comes, you may have advanced so far or changed so much that the needs of your life will be entirely different from what they are in the present. Let every desire be just for today, and let that desire be prompted by the ruling desire of your life. That is the desire to become a more powerful personality, a stronger character, a more brilliant mind, and a greater soul. Live perpetually in the desire that you will receive the best that life can give today, that all things will work together for good to you now, and that everything necessary to the promotion of your highest welfare will come in abundance during the great eternal now. Make this desire so strong that your heart and soul are in it, with all the power of life, and let every present moment be deeply inspired by the very spirit of this desire. The result will be that the best of everything will constantly be coming into your world, and everything that may be necessary to make your life full and complete now will be added in an ever-increasing abundance. In this connection, we must remember that it's not best for anyone to pass through sickness, trouble, and misfortune. When people have misfortune, they sometimes console themselves with the belief that it is all for the best. But this is not the truth. Though we can and should turn every adverse circumstance to good account, when you come into trouble, you have not been living for the best. You've made mistakes or entertained artificial desires, and that is why trouble came. Had you lived in the faith that all things are working together for good, nothing but good would have come. And had you lived in the strong desire for the best and the best only, you would have received the very best that you could appreciate and enjoy now. The belief that we have to pass through trouble to reach peace and comfort is an illusion that we have inherited from the Dark Ages, and the belief that we are purified through the fires of adversity is another illusion coming from the same source. We are purified by passing through a perpetual refining process, and this process is the result of consciousness gaining a deeper, higher, and truer, more beautiful conception of that divinity in man that is created in the image and likeness of the Supreme. And it is well to remember that this refining process can live and act only where there is peace of mind, harmony of life, and the joy of spirit. Higher states of life do not come by passing through adversity, but by living the soul life so completely that you are never affected by adversity. The peace that passeth understanding does not come from the act of overcoming trouble, but is the product of that state of mind that is so high, so strong, that it is never moved by trouble. The greatest victory does not come through successful warfare, but through a life that is so high and in such perfect harmony with all things that it wars against nothing, resists nothing, antagonizes nothing, pursues nothing, overcomes nothing. The life that is above things does not have to overcome things, and it is such a life that brings real peace, true joy, and sublime harmony. The belief that we have to fight for our rights is another illusion. Likewise, the belief that wrongs have to be overcome. The higher law declares, be right in all things, and you will have your rights in all things. Be above all things, and you will not have to overcome anything. Live in the spirit of the limitless supply, and you will not have to demand anything from any source, because you will be in the life of abundance. There is value in the silent demand, but it is not the highest thought. The highest thought is to desire with heart and soul and whatever we may need now, and live in the absolute conviction that all natural demands are supplied now. Then we shall not have to make any demands whatever, silent or audible. Mental demand usually becomes a forced mental process, and such a process, though it may succeed temporarily, as all forced actions do, will finally fail. And when it does fail, the mind will not be as high in the scale as it was before. The highest state is pure realization, a state where we realize that everything is at hand for us now, and will be expressed the very moment we desire its tangible possession. Here we must remember never to turn our desires into mental demands, but to make every desire an inward soul feeling united perfectly with faith. The highest desire is always transformed into a whole soul gratitude, even before the desire has been outwardly fulfilled, because when the desire is high in the spirit of faith, it knows at once the prayer will be answered, and consequently gives thanks from the very depths of the heart. The prayer that is uttered through the spirit of faith and through the soul of thanksgiving, the two united in one, is always answered, whether it be uttered silently or audibly. The desires that are felt in such a prayer are inspired by the divinity that dwells within, and are therefore true to real life. They are soul desires. They belong to the present and will be fulfilled in the present at the very time when we want them and need them. When we fail to get what is wanted, our wants are either artificial or so full of false and perverted wants that the law of supply is prevented from doing its proper work for us. Under such conditions, it is necessary to ask the great question, what am I living for? Then eliminate those desires that are suggested by the world and retain only those that desire the highest state of perfection for the whole man. It is the truth that when man seeks first the kingdom of the true life, the perfect life, all other things needful to such a life will be added. He who desires more life will receive more life. And with the greater life comes the greater power, that power with which man may create his own destiny and make everything in his life as he wishes it to be. In order to get what is wanted or what is needed, the usual process of desire must be reversed. Instead of desiring things, desire the greater life and that greater power that can produce things. First desire life, power, ability, greatness, superiority, high personal worth, and exceptional spiritual attainments. Never desire definite environments, special things, or certain fixed conditions. Leave those things to higher power, because when higher power begins to act, you will receive the very best environments, the richest things, and the most perfect conditions that you can possibly enjoy. Desire real life first, and all that is beautiful and perfect in the living of such a life in body, mind, and soul will invariably be added. Follow the desires of the soul, and you will receive everything that is necessary, not only for the life of the soul, but for the life of mind and body as well. Seek the source of all good things, and you will receive all good things. This may seem like a simple teaching, and in some ways contradicts with some of the stuff that I teach. But more and more I find that when you create from the present moment, that you tune in to what the soul truly needs. Now, usually, what you want in the present moment has reflections for wonderful things that will happen in your future. But if you allow the universe to unfold naturally and organically for the greatest good for you, sometimes that greatest good is beyond anything that you could imagine. You might imagine, hey, I really want this house, this car. But when you call upon the highest good, the most perfect good for your life, and focus on living in the joy in the present moment, that highest good can be so much better than that car or that house. That is where true perfection is found, ultimate joy, and true unity with all that is. Because when you seek the source of all good things, you will receive all good things. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com, and welcome to The Reality Revolution.